Quiet now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind. You're going to dance until your feet fall off. You're not able to stand up any longer. But we're going to have a show.
Welcome to the Pink Door Podcast.
It's great to be here.
So let's just set the scene a little bit. It's Wednesday, February 11th, 2026.
Yeah.
And if you're anywhere near Hanover, Massachusetts right now, you know what it's like.
Oh, yeah. It's gray.
It's gray. The wind is just brutal. And it's that time of year where, you just kind of want to hibernate.
Right. It's the don't leave the house unless you absolutely have to season. And usually the real estate market does the same thing. It just slows way down.
Usually. Well, we've got this stack of data here for January, the RPR reports, the sold listings, and it really looks like the market is operating in a totally different climate than the weather outside. Hibernation is definitely not the word I would use.
No, I think contradiction is a better word. I was looking at the same numbers, and you've got signals pointing in like two completely different directions.
That is exactly what I wanted to dig into today. Because on the surface, you see these flashy numbers, inventory spiking, prices moving. But when you start to peel back the layers, the signal gets messy.
It does.
So the mission for this deep dive is pretty simple. We need to figure out, is Hanover still a seller's market? Or is the tide finally starting to turn? Because I saw a few things, especially with inventory, that made me sit up.
You're talking about that big percentage jump.
That, but also just the sheer variety. We've got a house that hit the market, built in 1725, literally.
Incredible.
And then we have stats that suggest the market is flooding with new options. So let's play detective. Let's separate the noise from the signal.
Let's do it. Where do you want to start?
I want to start with the verdict, right at the top. I glance at these RPR charts, and the little gauge on the dashboard, it's pinned all the way in the red. It says seller's market. Is that still true?
Visually. And statistically, yes, that gauge is correct. We are still firmly in a seller's market.
Okay.
The basic supply and demand hasn't flipped. Sellers still hold most of the cards. But, and this is a really big but, the texture of that market is changing. It's not that frantic, hair on fire energy we saw a couple of years ago.
Well, let's get right to the data point that screams change. I was scrolling through and this number just stopped me. Months of inventory is up almost 46%. Month over month.
45.98, yeah.
We're at 1.27 months of inventory.
It's a huge percentage jump when you just see it on paper.
Right. To a normal person, seeing inventory shoot up 46% sounds like a flood. Like the dam broke and suddenly there are for sale signs everywhere. Is that what's happening?
And this is where percentages can be, a little dangerous without the context. So yes, 46% is a big deal. It shows a trend. But you have to look at the raw number, 1.27 months.
Okay, so break that down for us. What does 1.27 months actually feel like if I'm a buyer out there?
So think of it like this. A perfectly balanced market where buyers and sellers are on equal footing. That's usually like 5 or 6 months of inventory.
Okay.
It means if no new houses came on the market today, it would take 6 months to sell everything.
And right now, we'd be sold out in, 5 weeks?
Exactly. So, we were starving, and now we have a snack. It's not a buffet.
A snack. I like that analogy. So it's better than that sub 1 month insanity where you had to make an offer in 3 hours or you lost the house.
It is. It's a relief valve, but it's not a flood.
So if I'm a buyer, the difference is maybe I have 3 houses to see on a Saturday instead of 0.
Precisely. And that little bit of choice, that changes the whole psychology of the negotiation. Buyers don't feel quite as trapped.
Okay, before we get to negotiation, I have a bone to pick with the pricing data. I feel like this is a trap for people who just read headlines.
You mean the median price discrepancy?
It's huge. I'm looking at the RPR Market Trends report. It says median sold price for January is $695,000, up 15%.
Right.
So I thought, okay, $695K is the benchmark. But then I pulled the actual sold PDF, the list of real transactions, and the median there is $849,999.
Yep, that catches a lot of people.
That's a $155,000 gap. That's not a rounding error. That's a completely different mortgage bracket. What is going on there?
And that's why you just can't rely on the automated aggregate data alone. The RPR figure, that's $695,000. It's a blended number. It lumps in single-family homes, but also tosses in condos, townhouses, you name it.
So the smaller, less expensive units are dragging the average way down.
Significantly. You look at that sold list.
Right.
We had some distressed properties, some smaller condos that closed in the 400s and 500s. That pulls the math down. But if you filter for just single-family homes, what most families moving to Hanover are looking for, the median is $850.
And that is such a crucial distinction. If you're listening and anchoring your expectations to $695K for, a turnkey colonial with a garage.
You are going to be very disappointed. You'll be looking at a totally different product. The real pulse of the market for a standalone house is $850,000. That's the entry fee.
Okay, so let's talk about speed. Market velocity. This is where that seller's market label gets a little complicated for me.
That's so.
Well, you have the sold to list price ratio at 101.7%. So on average, homes are still selling for over the asking price.
Which signals bidding wars, right?
But then I see median days in RPR has jumped to 11 days. That's up 42%.
It seems like a contradiction, doesn't it? If people are paying over asking, why are houses sitting for longer?
Exactly. Usually over ask means it was gone in a weekend.
It all comes down to discernment. I mean, 11 days is not a long time historically.
Right.
But compared to that 48 hours and it's gone era, it feels like a lifetime. It means buyers are taking a breath.
They're going for a second showing.
They're bringing their contractor to look at the basement, yeah. The blind panic is fading. And if you look at the actual addresses that sold, you can see it playing out. It's not a blanket bidding war anymore.
Yeah, I highlighted a few here. The contrast is really stark. Let's look at the high end. 186 Grove Street.
Beautiful place.
Listed at $1.625 million. It sold for $1.635 million. So 10 grand over ask. That fits the story.
Exactly. A turnkey luxury property that shows perfectly will still command a premium. People will still fight for perfection.
But then you look right next to it at 103 Center Street, listed at $1.678 million. So almost the same price point, but it sold for $1.650 million.
It went under ask.
By almost $30,000.
And that's the nuance. Just because the average is 101% doesn't mean your house will get that.
Mm-hmm.
If there are any questions about the property, or if the price is pushing the absolute limit, buyers are pushing back. They're not just rolling over anymore.
We even saw it on the lower end. 368 King Street was listed around $690K and it sold for $680K.
Right, a $10,000 negotiation for the buyer. The big takeaway here is that pricing strategy matters so much more now than it did 6 months ago. You can't just throw a number out there and expect the market to catch it.
It's like the market is becoming rational.
Rational but competitive. I think that's the perfect way to frame it.
Okay, let's pivot to the inventory itself. Because looking at what is actually for sale in Hanover right now, it feels like you're stepping into a time machine. The spread is just wild.
It really is. It highlights the unique character of the town. You don't get this in every suburb.
We have to start with the antique. 561 Circuit Street.
The 1725 build.
1725. I was doing the math on that. That is 50 years before the Declaration of Independence. George Washington wasn't even born yet.
It's incredible to think about. You're talking about a home with, likely original post and beam construction, wide plank floors. It has literally seen the entire history of the United States pass by its window.
And it's listed at $575,000, which for Hanover seems surprisingly attainable.
It's financially attainable, yes, but you have to think about the other cost of ownership. Buying a home from 1725 is not a transaction, it's a stewardship.
Right.
You're not just calling a handyman for a leak. You're dealing with preservation. The insulation, the wiring, the sheer quirkiness of a house that old, it takes a very specific kind of buyer.
It's a passion project. You have to love the creaky floors and the low ceilings.
You really do. It's a lifestyle choice.
And then you can just whip your head to the complete other end of the spectrum, 250 Center Street.
The new construction.
Built in 2025, 2026, active at almost $1.8 million.
And that price gap, from $575K to $1.8 million, that really defines the whole market right now.
What are you actually getting for $1.8 million?
You are paying for the zero headache premium. You're talking nearly 4,000 square feet, 4 beds, 4 baths, all modern energy efficiency, open concepts. You hand over the check, you move in, and you don't think about maintenance for a decade.
So it's the anti-1725 house.
It is. It's the modern luxury standard. And for a lot of busy families, that time-saving aspect is worth the money. They don't want to restore a hearth on the weekend. They want to go to a soccer game.
Okay, so we have the historic project and the luxury turnkey. But I also saw this weird outlier in the data. 186 Elm Street closed for $273,000.
I saw that one. Definitely drags the spreadsheet down.
Did somebody get the deal of the century? Or is there a catch? Because $273K in Hanover, that usually buys you a garage, not a house.
There's always a catch. In a town where the land value alone is so high, A price like that on an 1850s farmhouse just screams distress or major rehab needed.
So this is not a comp that a normal buyer should even be looking at.
Absolutely not. That's likely a cash deal, probably a gut renovation. It might not have even been habitable. It messes with the averages, but for the family listening who wants to move in next month, 186 Elm isn't relevant to your search. It's an outlier.
Got it. Okay, let's talk about what is relevant. If I pull up the app on my phone right now, what can I actually go see? We had 8 new properties hit the market in January.
And again, the story there is the diversity. The menu is getting a little bigger.
I was looking at 108 Waterford Drive, listed at $999K, just under $1 million, but it's on 4 acres of land.
4 acres is massive for Hanover. That's a premium lot. Usually you're fighting for a half acre. 4 acres is serious privacy.
And then on the other end, there's 70 Barton Street at $625K. So the bookends are there. You've got options in the 600s, options over $1 million, but the middle looks a little thin.
At 750 to 850 sweet spot, the move-up buyer range, that's where inventory is tightest. That's where you'll feel the most competition because that's where the most demand is.
Right.
If you're shopping in that bracket, you have to be ready to move because everyone else is shopping there too.
Speaking of competition, or maybe a lack of it, I want to look at what went pending. There's a big lesson in 44 Stone Meadow Lane.
Oh, absolutely. This is the so what for anyone selling a luxury home.
It went pending at $1.699 million. Beautiful home. But look at the days on market.
157 days.
5 months. In a supposed seller's market, how does a luxury home sit for 5 months? Was it just priced wrong?
Not necessarily. It's a matter of geometry. Think of the buyer pool as a pyramid. At $800,000, the base is wide. You have tons of buyers.
Okay.
As you climb up to $1.7 million, the top of that pyramid gets really, really narrow. The air gets thinner.
So even if the market's hot, it just takes longer to find that one person who can afford it, loves the style, and wants that location.
Exactly. So if you're selling at that price point, 150 days doesn't mean something is wrong. It just means you need patience. It is not the instant gratification you see in the $700K market.
I also want to just briefly touch on the distressed properties section. It notes 3 newly filed complaints, one on Longwood Lane, one on Whiting Street. Is this a red flag?
I wouldn't call it a red flag, not yet. 3 properties in a town this size is a very small number. It's not a wave of foreclosures like 2008,
Right.
but it's a good reminder that, life happens. Job losses, health issues, that stuff happens no matter how strong the overall market is. It's a signal to watch, but definitely not a crisis.
Okay, let's wrap this all up with some actionable advice. We've thrown a lot of numbers out there. If I'm a seller in Hanover right now, what is my takeaway?
Your takeaway is that you're still in the driver's seat. You're getting 101.7% of your list price on average. That is fantastic. But the window for those easy wins is tightening.
Because days on market are up.
Days on market are up. Inventory is up 46%. You have actual competition now. Pricing strategy is key. If you overreach, you will sit.
And if you're a buyer?
Take a deep breath. Seriously. Inventory is up. You have 1.27 months of supply. Not less than 1. There are fresh listings, you have options, and because homes are sitting for 11 days, you have a little time to think.
And you might even be able to negotiate, especially on those higher-end homes that have been sitting a while.
Absolutely. The leverage is shifting slightly in your favor at the top end. Don't be afraid to write an offer that makes sense for you instead of just, throwing money at the seller.
Before we sign off, I have one last stat for everyone to chew on. I was looking at the median list price for active homes, so the stuff currently on the market.
I think I know where you're going with this.
It plummeted. It dropped nearly 39% month over month. It's down to about $950,000. In December, the median ask was way over $1 million.
That is a huge drop on the chart.
So the question is this a sign that sellers are finally getting realistic? Are they looking at the data and saying, okay, maybe I can't ask for the moon? Or is it just a fluke of inventory?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
My gut says it's a mix of both. We didn't have any super luxury $2 or $3 million homes hit the market in January to prop up that average.
Sure.
But I also think seeing properties like the one on King Street sell for under ask is a wake-up call. I think sellers are recalibrating.
It feels like the market is just taking a breath.
Which is healthy. It's healthy for everyone in the long run. A market that only goes straight up eventually breaks. A market that can breathe is sustainable.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the January numbers. From 1725 antiques to 2026 luxury builds, Hanover definitely keeps it interesting.
Never a dull moment. Always a pleasure
Yeah.
to dig into the data. If you have any questions about this episode, or if you are thinking about buying or selling a house anywhere on Boston's South Shore, from Southie to Sagamore, give Jim Aldred a call. He would love to speak with you. Jim believes that people in transition often feel anxious about buying or selling a home, and he provides them with the guidance and security to help your family move on smoothly. Thanks for listening, and catch you on the next episode of the Pink Door Podcast.